What is up, everybody? I'm NoLucksGiven here with your afternoon snap, and in today's video we're only going to take a look at one game up against IDIU here. I'm playing Loki. This is my updated list. I took out Carnage, I put in Collector. I am planning on putting together a longer video about this deck at some point soon, but for today's video I just wanted to take a look at one game that I thought had a lot that I could talk about in it. This is a junk style deck, obviously, and in this game, I totally junk myself. Now, Central Park is going to be half the junk in this video, but I'm gonna do some other junk, and there's some junk at the end as well that I'll want to talk about. And speaking of junk, the Sacred Timeline is kind of a junk location. It's not a junk cards location, it's just kind of a junk location that I tend not to really care about, even when I'm playing Collector and Loki decks, which those decks can generate extra cards themselves. You generally don't need help from the Sacred Timeline, so I kind of just tend to ignore this location. I haven't found it to be super useful. I'm just going to continue to play one-cost cards here as my opponent continues to not play anything for these first few turns of the game, but we're kind of going to trade off. I'm not going to play any cards for the last few turns of the game. Turns 5, 6, and 7, I'm not going to play anything this game, which I think is what makes it pretty silly. Also, what's going to make it a little bit silly, I'm going to play Snowguard Bear into Central Park. I said that Central Park was half the junk in this game. I wasn't lying. Have some more squirrels, why don't you? My opponent plays a Cerebro, which puts a decent amount of power on their board for the time being. Was definitely not expecting that, but of course, they're going to play more powerful cards than Cerebro as the game, or more powerful cards than the squirrels as the game goes on. Cerebro kind of doing like a mini Patriot impression here, but I think now's the time. I got to return some squirrels to my hand, and I can dump some more of these one-cost cards from my hand. This will allow me to pick up 3 squirrels, so I'll pick up those first 3 squirrels that were flopped down, except I filled the Sacred Timeline. Totally forgot about it, totally wrote it off, so now my hand is full. Falcon will not be able to return anything to my hand, and this is the board that I'm stuck with for the rest of the game. This is why I don't play anything for the final 3 turns of the game. Now, this Groot was actually a pretty big deal, not only because it's an 8-power Groot, it's actually the main reason that I stayed in this game. I didn't think about the fact that Cerebro probably came from Camp Lehigh. And in my mind, I'm thinking, oh, my opponent is playing a sweet Cerebro list because I should just retreat here, right? I'm probably gonna lose. Magic taking Camp Lehigh off the board also kind of helped me to forget that they probably just got Cerebro from Camp Lehigh. But I'm thinking this is like a cool Cerebro 6 list, and I at least want to hear them out. So I'm not just going to retreat right away. I want to see what other cards my opponent is potentially playing in Cerebro 6, because that sounds interesting to me. And then on turn 6, my opponent plays Magneto, and this is where I realize that I'm playing up against a bot. And, well, I'm currently winning this game. I might actually be able to win it against a bot, so I hit end turn, my opponent flips over a Shang-Chi and a Daredevil, and there you go. I take him for 4 cubes. Honestly, I'm not super thrilled with this outcome. I have been complaining about this a little bit recently. I think bots are too easy right now in Marvel Snap. I think it takes a lot of the fun out of the game. I'm sure that not everyone has the same experience with the same bots and therefore may not face this problem, but I think that that in itself is part of the problem. The fact that if you are playing right now trying to climb on ladder and you are not able to as easily identify bots, you're going to have a more difficult time in your games. I stayed in this game realizing that my opponent was a bot. Nobody plays Groot. It's just a bot. And that is actually just what's going on here. And once I realized that, I figured, hey, I'll stay in it, and maybe they don't put that much power on the board, and I'm able to take my opponent for 4 cubes. So that was basically it. I mean, the Magneto in the center lane is what sold me, because there was just no reason to play a Magneto in the center lane. Maybe, you know, Giga Brain, it's a real opponent pretending to be a bot, and then they get me on the final turn, and they actually win more cubes than they otherwise would have if I had retreated, realizing that they weren't a bot. I'm not sure. Either way, I don't love that the game kind of masks when you are playing against bot players. I think that it's not super new player friendly, and more important than that, it just devalues the Marvel Snap gameplay experience overall, in my opinion, because anytime I win, I have to be thinking to myself, did I just play against a bot? I don't know for sure that this is a bot. This might have actually been just a really cool game. IDIU, if you are out there, let me know. And then I'll be like, okay, cool, this was a silly game where my opponent maybe made a little bit of a mistake. Maybe that part of that mistake was running Groot in their deck, and another mistake was putting Magneto in the center lane. But I think the fact that I don't know, and therefore just assume that it's a bot, and honestly, most of the time that I win games, I just assume that it's a bot, and that's part of the reason that I complain and I say all I do is win 8 cubes against bots, because everybody feels like a bot. All you guys out there on the ladder suck. Okay, I'm kidding, a little bit. But I do think, at least for myself personally, it greatly degrades my Marvel Snap experience overall. Free cubes are nice, but I'm playing a multiplayer game because I want to play against other real opponents. Let me know your thoughts on this topic in the comments down below. But for today, that's going to be it for me. Thank you guys very much for watching. I'm NoLucksGiven. Peace.